Buckle, thank you so much for bringing snacks. I was starving.
I was starving as well.
I love donuts.
I think donuts are Walter's favorite as well. But hey, we better eat this quickly because it's time to start the show. Are you excited for our Easter series?
Oh, I can't wait!
It's going to be fun today. We're learning about a story in the Bible called The Last Supper. So I suppose we should take a look and see what Walter has brought for us today. Oh, look at this! I'm going to get it out and hand it to you now. Thanks, Walter, for bringing everything too. We really appreciate your hard work. So we have some textures.
Ooh.
There's some cool colors in there. We have our craft for today. It says Remember Jesus. And then the very special mystery item that I sent you. What's this?
Why'd you give me a loaf of bread?
Well, you'll have to wait until a little later on to find out. So why don't we go check out the preach, and while we do that, we're going to get ready with the craft. Okay, so I want to do something a little bit different with you today because there was a moment when I was in school and I only had a couple of friends because I wasn't that good at making friends when I was younger. But one of my best friends at school, his family was actually leaving the town. The dad had got work elsewhere, and so in a few weeks they were all going to leave and I wasn't going to see him again for a long time. So what did we do? We had a pizza party. So in honor of that, I'm going to go to the shops really quickly, grab a couple of ingredients, and not that we might have a pizza party right now with you as well. I'll be back in a sec. Going to go to Coles. Alright, we're back already. That was fast. But let's take a look and see what we are going to use. We're going to use a wrap base, barbecue sauce, ham, cabana. I love my cabanas. Capsicum, spinach, onion. I'm a fan of onion. I know you might not, but we'll put that down. And then last of all, last but not least, the most important ingredient of all for every pizza, cheese. So let's get started. Now, it wouldn't be a pizza party if I was on my own, so I am going to make two different pizzas, one for me, one for someone else, because that's what today's story is all about. Because today we're actually talking about a moment in the Bible called the Last Supper. You see, sometimes when you're going to say goodbye to someone for a long time, you know they're going away, you want to be able to celebrate the fact that they were in your life and that they are important to you. And so that's what we did with our friend at school. You see, we all got together on the last day of school at lunchtime and we all ordered pizzas. Now, obviously the pizzas didn't look like this. They were the normal ones that you might eat. But that was the way that we spent time together. We sat down and we had a meal. We wanted to eat food. We wanted to break bread together to celebrate the fact that we were best friends, but we weren't going to see each other for a long time. So our whole class all sat around and ate pizza. Let's keep working on these. All right, we've got a cutting board, we've got a spoon to spread our sauce, we've got a knife so that we can cut the ingredients. I'm going to spread the barbecue sauce out around on the base. And I'm actually going to put more sauce on top, so I'm only putting a little bit on to start with. What should we go next? Let's go with the ham, so let's cut up some ham. Fantastic, so let's put some ham on these pizzas. These are going to be delicious. And this is always the joke, pineapple on pizza, yes or no? I am a yes, but the person I'm making the other pizza for is a no. I know, right? Next, we're going to cut our capsicum, put that on the pizza as well. Next, we're going to cut up some onion, put that on the pizza as well. Next, let's add some cabana, I love it. Next, we'll add a little bit of spinach. And then last but not least, cheese. Love my cheese on my pizza. And then like I mentioned, I actually like to drizzle a little bit of sauce on the top of my pizza as well, just because I think it makes it taste better. And we're done. So here's my question for you. Have you ever had someone that you care about, a close friend or maybe a family member, maybe it was a cousin or an uncle, and they had to go away? Maybe they were moving house or maybe they were going on a work trip somewhere else. Maybe it was a parent, your mum or your dad, and they had to go away for a week for whatever reason, and you knew that you weren't going to see them again for a while. How did that make you feel? I knew that when my friend went away and I wasn't going to see him for a long time, I felt really sad because it brought me so much happiness to spend time with him. We would spend time at each other's houses all the time. We'd play cricket in the backyard. And the cool thing about where he lived is kangaroos would be jumping through the backyard while we were playing cricket. We'd play video games together. I reckon we hung out nearly every single week. And then all of a sudden, he was gone. But here's the thing. Even though he was going away, I knew that we were still going to be friends. We just weren't going to see each other for a while. And so, although we had a last meal together where we had pizza and we hung out, and it was a sad moment because I knew that it would be a while before I saw him, it was a happy moment as well because I knew that I would see him again one day in the future, and that when I got to see him again, I would remember how much we cared about each other. And so a little later on, we're actually going to take a look at a story in the Bible where Jesus knew that his time on earth was nearly up, and so before he went back to heaven, he did something special with his disciples so that they would remember him. But we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Buckle, look at this.
That's so cool! Is that the craft I sent you?
Yep.
Oh, it's a bracelet. That's amazing. Can you explain to everyone how we made it?
Well, first what I did was I colored everything in really cool different colors, and I drew the love heart with my favorite color, red, and I kept the tiny one white.
It's really cool. And then you can put it around your wrist, use a bit of sticky tape and turn it into a bracelet. It's a good way to remember Jesus. But you know what else is fun? Is seeing all of your arts and crafts. So make sure you get your teacher or your kid's pastor to send them through. There is an email in the description of this video.
I love when you read the Bible story. It's just so good. So, will you read it again?
I would love to read it again.
Say hello to Jesus, the Son of God, the Savior of the world. And while Jesus was here on earth, he would travel from place to place, teaching people of God's love and healing their sick. It was coming close to the time of a festival called the Passover, and they were going to celebrate in Jerusalem. And so Jesus' disciples asked him, "Teacher, where should we go and prepare the meal for the festival?" Jesus said, "Go into the city, and you will see a man carrying a jar of water. Follow him to the house that he enters, and ask him this: 'Sir, the teacher is asking where the guest room is, that he may eat the Passover with his disciples.' And he will show you to a large room already prepared." And so the disciples did as Jesus said, and sure enough, it happened just like Jesus had told them. Later that evening, while Jesus and his disciples were sitting around the table eating together, Jesus took some of the bread and said to his disciples, "This is my body given for you." And he passed the bread out for them to eat. He said, "Eat this and remember me." He then picked up a cup of wine and said, "This is my blood poured out to forgive the sins of the world." And so the disciples ate the bread and drank the wine that Jesus had given them. Jesus said, "This is the last time that I will eat and drink with you until we are all together in my Father's kingdom." Jesus told his disciples that one of them in the room eating with him would betray him. He said that it had to happen this way, but great sadness would be ahead of the man that betrayed him. The disciples started talking amongst themselves, saying, "Who could it be?" But one of the disciples named Judas came to Jesus and said, "Jesus, is it me?" Jesus replied, "You have said it." The other disciples asked Jesus, "Who is it?" And Jesus said to them, "It is the one who I give the bread to." And he gave the bread to Judas. And Jesus said, "Go and do what you're going to do." So Judas left, getting ready to betray Jesus. The other disciples didn't understand what was about to happen. And so Jesus comforted them and told them, "When I am gone, God will send a helper to be with you." And so they all sung a song to God.
You see, in this story, Jesus knew that he was going away, but he wanted his disciples to remember that he wasn't disappearing. He wasn't no longer going to exist. He was still going to be their friend. He still cared about them, and he wanted them to remember him as well. And so he got them together and he said, "I'm going away soon, but I want you to remember me." And so when you get together as friends, all of you disciples, get some bread, break the bread, eat the bread. Remember that I love you. And what's about to happen, I'm letting it happen because I care about you. And then Jesus took something to drink, and he had a drink. I've got my Pepsi Max because I love Pepsi Max. And he took some and he said, drink this. Whenever you drink this, remember me. Remember how much I care about you. And what I'm about to do, I'm doing it to help you. You see, the Bible tells us that Jesus, when he finished his time here on earth, he went back to heaven. But he's not gone forever. The Bible also says that he's coming back again. And so that's why it's so important that we always find times to remember Jesus, that we remember how much he loves us. Remember that he wants to be our friend. And even though you can't see Jesus, you can talk to him. Like my friend, we would call each other on the phone, and although we couldn't see each other, we could still talk. That you can talk to Jesus, you can pray to God, and you can ask for help. And so today, while we're starting our Easter series, I want you to take some time and think about what things do you do to make sure that you never forget, because this is what our big point is today. It's what I want us to remember, that we should always remember Jesus.
That was such a great message today, Bucko.
Well, I hope you were paying attention, and I hope you were paying attention. It's time for the Bible quiz.
I wonder how many they're gonna get.
That's a good question. If you want to play along, here's how. If you think the first answer is correct, put your hands on your
Head.
If you think the second answer is correct, put your hands on your
Shoulders.
Here we go with question number 1. What was the name of the festival that Jesus and the disciples were celebrating? Were they celebrating Passover, or were they celebrating New Year's Eve? You've got 5 seconds. Isla, what do you think the answer is?
Was it Passover?
It was Passover. Well done. So hands on heads. I'm sure you got it correct. Here we go with question number 2. Jesus grabbed some food and he said, "This is my body." What food did he have? Was it spaghetti or was it bread? You've got 5 seconds. Isla, what do you think the answer is?
Was it bread?
It was bread, so hands on shoulders. Good job. Question number 3. Why were Jesus and the disciples eating the bread and the wine? Was it because they were super duper hungry? Or because Jesus was reminding them to remember him, to remember Jesus? You got 5 seconds. Isla, what do you think the answer is?
Was it to remember Jesus?
It was to remember Jesus, so hands on shoulders. But Isla, have you had so fun in our Easter series?
It's been amazing so far.
Well, we got another week of it next week, so make sure you come back and join us then. See you later.